The Mojave sky rippled with heat, yet the air held an unnatural stillness. Lieutenant Aria Cross, 35, ex-Special Ops turned UAP analyst, stood on the cracked tarmac of Outpost E9, her eyes locked on the object buried half a mile west. She adjusted her visor as the sun dipped low, bleeding orange into violet. "Whatever it is," Aria said, "it didn't fall. It landed." Behind her, Colonel Mahir Patel approached, dust trailing his boots. "Satellite telemetry shows no re-entry flare." "Not a damn blip." Aria crouched, brushing her fingers along the blackened trail that cut through the sand like a cauterized wound. So it was cloaked. Mahir didn't respond. The desert wind stirred. From the excavation zone, something pulsed, deep and low, like a heartbeat beneath the earth. Aria whispered, "It's awake." A tremor cracked the silence. The object, partially exposed now, shimmered with liquid metal hues. Mahir stepped back. "Directive protocol." Aria stood. "We initiate." Aria stepped into the operations tent as alarms buzzed beneath the low hum of portable generators. Digital feeds displayed distorted telemetry, lines of code breaking into static. "All satellite uplinks scrambled," reported Chief Analyst Vega, a woman in her early 40s with shaved sides and sharp eyes. Aria scanned the monitors. "Is it jamming us or hijacking us?" Vega pointed. "Telemetry isn't just offline. It's been overwritten." Mahir entered behind her. "We're not alone on this frequency." Aria's voice dropped. "Then someone's already listening." A red icon blinked, unlabeled. Aria tapped into it. An image loaded, a language, circular and rotating like clockwork glyphs. "What the hell is that?" Vega asked. Aria whispered, "A directive." Mahir narrowed his eyes. "From them, or for them," Aria replied. Outside, the alien object pulsed again, now faster. The message changed, glyphs accelerating, forming patterns across all screens. They weren't being warned. They were being instructed. Outside, the excavation team worked in haste. The alien object was now nearly uncovered. A smooth ovoid form, 8 meters long, suspended above the crater as if gravity refused to touch it. Aria walked along the perimeter with Mahir, voice low. "No propulsion, no seams, no temperature variance." Mahir said, "It's inert. Until it's not." A young engineer waved them over. "Commander, it's broadcasting." Aria moved closer. The object emitted a hum that made her stomach twist, like a frequency the body rejected. "It's communicating in form," she said. The hum modulated. With each pulse, the sand beneath began to shift in symmetrical patterns. Glyphs, drawn without a hand. "It's writing," Mahir murmured. "To who?" Aria whispered, "Anyone smart enough to listen." The last layer of dust blew away. Beneath, etched into the base, was a phrase in English, "Abandon directive." Mahir stepped back. "What directive?" Aria's jaw clenched. "Ours." That night, the base descended into lockdown. Aria reviewed the phrase "abandon directive" over and over. Mahir paced behind her. "This thing knows about our black protocols. It knows our language. It knows us," Aria replied. A screen blinked again. More glyphs, now paired with coordinates. "Mid-Atlantic Ridge," Vega said, stepping in. "It's pointing us somewhere." Aria stood. "No, it's ordering us." Mahir snapped. "Then who's in command now?" Aria turned slowly. "Not us." Outside, the alien object stopped pulsing. For the first time, it emitted sound, clear, deliberate tones. Vega whispered, "It's music." "No," Aria said. "It's a countdown." She stormed outside. The lights around the object died. The ground vibrated slightly. Mahir joined her. "Whatever it is, it's waiting." Aria nodded. "Then so are we." Overhead, satellites blinked off one by one, until only stars remained. Before dawn, a transport helicopter cut through the desert air, its searchlight sweeping the base. Aria, Mahir, and Vega stood at the landing zone waiting. A figure stepped down, the US President's scientific liaison, Dr. Ulrich Juno, late 50s, exocommunication expert, pale as the moon. "They sent you?" Aria asked. Juno replied, "They sent the only one who's already heard the directive." Aria frowned. "You've seen these glyphs before." He nodded. "In Antarctica, 2 years ago. The same object, same message." Mahir stepped forward. "What happened to it?" Juno's eyes darkened. "It left, but it didn't leave alone." He looked at the Mojave object. "This one's different. It's waiting for an answer." Aria said, "We don't even know the question." Juno looked straight at her. "That's because the question isn't for us, it's for something beneath us." And from far below, the ground echoed a pulse. At first light, Aria, Juno, and Mahir stood before the object, now fully unearthed. The surface reflected nothing, absorbing even the rising sun. Juno placed his hand against it. Same core density, same response behavior, but this one's older. Older? Mahir asked. Or just smarter? Aria paced around it. What did the Antarctica object want? Juno answered, to warn us. We ignored it. Aria stared at the phrase etched on the base, abandoned directive. What's the directive? Juno was quiet. Then, a contingency protocol, activated only in case of alien first contact. It was classified, beyond even military channels. Mahir tensed. What was it supposed to do? Juno replied, wipe the first contact evidence. All of it. Aria's voice dropped. That's not a directive. That's an erasure. A sudden flash of light rippled from the object. Everyone shielded their eyes. The glyphs now floated in air, shifting like ink in water. The directive wasn't finished speaking. Inside the ops tent, Vega isolated the hovering glyphs into a 3D projection. They rotated, interlinked, forming equations and patterns that mimicked no known language, but mirrored quantum architecture. It's not a warning, she said. It's a blueprint. Juno examined it, his eyes wide. It's showing us how to build something? A receiver? A gate? Aria crossed her arms. Or a weapon? Mahir stepped closer. They're asking us to make contact. Vega turned. Not just contact, interface. Aria snapped. You mean let it inside? Silence. Then Juno said, whatever sent this, it's giving us a choice. Aria replied, no, it's giving us a test. The projection shifted again, showing coordinates in the Pacific Ocean. Aria stared. That's the Mariana Trench. Vega whispered, that's where it ends. Mahir looked grim. Or begins. The object outside pulsed once, then stopped. Waiting. And deep in the tent, a compass spun wildly. By noon, the excavation base had transformed. Engineers assembled prototype receivers, following the glyph schematics. Aria observed the construction with a clenched jaw. We're following alien instructions, building something we don't understand. Juno approached. We have 2 options, silence or signal. Mahir said, or sabotage. We already failed the first message, Juno countered. This might be our last chance to respond. A sudden static burst crackled through every device. Radios, watches, even old analog dials. Then came a sound, rhythmic, layered, unnatural. It wasn't language. It was memory. Aria staggered. Flashes filled her vision. Earthquakes, skies filled with light, cities erased in moments. I saw something, she whispered. Like a global wipe. Juno steadied her. It's showing us what happens if we choose wrong. Or what's already happened, Mahir muttered. Elsewhere. The object pulsed again. And on every monitor, a new phrase appeared. We returned because you failed. That night, Mahir sat alone, staring at the object. Footsteps approached. It was Aria. "Can't sleep?" she asked. Mahir shook his head. "If this thing is here to test us, we already lost. We buried the truth for decades." Aria sat beside him. "Maybe it's not about judgment. Maybe it's a second chance." Mahir chuckled dryly. "You think they give second chances?" Aria looked at the silent object. "I think they remember better than we do." Mahir whispered, "We should have told the world." Aria didn't respond. Instead, she watched as soft light began to bleed from the object again. But this time, it wasn't alien glyphs. It was images, photographs, scenes, records taken from Earth. Their wars. Their achievements. Their lies. "It's showing us, Aria said. "Not who we are," Mahir replied. "Who we've been." The object wasn't threatening. It was mirroring, holding up a cosmic reflection. The next morning, the object cracked. Not a sound. Just a line, thin, perfect, splitting it down the middle. Aria and Vega approached cautiously. Inside, a hollow chamber was revealed, lightless but not dark. Juno stepped forward. "It's empty." Aria shook her head. "No, it's inviting." One by one, the team's devices pinged. One word: enter. Mahir drew his weapon. "We don't step inside a trap." Aria countered, "It hasn't attacked us. It's waited." Juno added, "Because it wants a decision. It wants us to choose to understand." Aria looked to her team. "Prep an entry drone. We go in together." Vega hesitated. "And if it seals us inside?" Aria's voice was steady. "Then maybe that's what needs to happen." A final glyph appeared on the chamber wall as the drone powered up. It read, "Truth is not given. It is entered." The chamber swallowed them. One step, and the Mojave disappeared. Aria, Mahir, Vega, and Juno stood in a space without shape, without sound, but not without gravity. The floor was soft, warm like flesh, yet reflected light like glass. No walls, no ceiling. Only the echo of their breath. "Where are we?" Vega whispered. Juno answered, "Inside a construct. Not physical, not entirely." The drone hovered, light scanning emptiness. Then came the change. The environment shimmered. Walls formed, not from matter, but from memory. Giant panels displayed events from each of their lives, mistakes, traumas, turning points. Mahir recoiled. "It's dissecting us." Aria said, "No, it's learning us." Her own past played before her. A failed mission, civilian casualties, the directive she was ordered to bury. She clenched her fists. "It knows everything." Juno murmured, "This place, it's not a test site, it's a mirror." Then a voice, not theirs, not human, whispered from all directions. "What will you do with what you are?" Juno knelt beneath his projection. Antarctica, 2 years ago, the first object. He watched himself walk away as colleagues were left behind. "I ran," he admitted. "I let fear dictate the message." Aria placed a hand on his shoulder. "So, don't run now." Vega stood frozen, her memory looping, the day her data uncovered Echo Protocol. She'd buried it to keep her job. "We weren't supposed to speak. We were supposed to comply." Mahir's projection showed a battlefield, one he authorized, one that led to thousands dead under false intel. "Directive cover," he muttered. "I was the hammer." Aria watched them all, then looked to her own. A silent hallway, a sealed vault, a boy left behind. "They don't want apology," she said. "They want choice." Juno stood. "Then we choose to reveal." Instantly, the room responded. The projections vanished. New glyphs swirled before them. "Do you consent to dismantle the lie?" Outside the chamber, the alien object remained silent, but its energy spiked. Soldiers above felt the heat radiate from the sand. Inside, the team faced the glyphs. "Consent?" Vega asked. "To what?" "Exposure," Aria said. "No more secrets, not from each other, not from the world. Juno hesitated. If we agree, everything we buried resurfaces. Every nation, every lie. Isn't that what they want? Mahir asked. Aria nodded. Not destruction, correction. One by one, they placed their palms against the floating glyphs. Light erupted, not bright, but pure. The chamber dissolved into a storm of data, streams of symbols, images, names. It's transmitting, Juno said. To where? Vega gasped. Everywhere. The chamber grew brighter. Symbols passed through their bodies. The object outside cracked again. Around the world, sensors began pinging. Hidden networks activated. The directive wasn't being abandoned. It was being overwritten. Far above Earth, satellites dormant for decades reawakened. A low-orbit sensor station blinked to life. Buried data caches opened. Old warnings, old contacts, all triggered. Inside the Mojave base, chaos reigned. Officers scrambled. Alarms blared. Signal breach, someone shouted. General Harlan, recently arrived, stepped in. Shut it down. But the object wouldn't respond to human control. It's autonomous, a tech cried. It's overriding every classified channel. Meanwhile, within the chamber, Aria and the others stood still as conduits. They weren't in control. They were connection points. Aria whispered. This was never about contact. It was about continuity. Mahir said, We're the relay. Glyphs surged into their skin, briefly, painlessly. Juno gasped. They've imprinted on us. Aria said, Not us. Earth. A final glyph formed before them. It read, Directive, released. The chamber faded. The team stood once more in the Mojave dawn, the alien object now dim and cracked open like an empty cocoon. Around them, silence. Then, radios crackled. Directive Alpha unlocked. Hidden satellite logs uploading globally. Civilian channels engaged. Aria looked up at the stars. They seemed closer. Mahir wiped dust from his face. We did it. Juno wasn't so certain. We did something. Vega checked her tablet. Data's reaching every major node. It's rewriting archives. Opening access. Truth is going public. A low rumble echoed from deep beneath the crater. Aria turned. Then what's still down there? The ground shifted. A hatch opened beside the artifact. Another chamber. A stairwell descending into black. On the threshold, a new inscription blinked. To understand the directive is to confront origin. Aria stepped toward it. We're not done yet. Aria led the way into the stairwell. The walls were not carved, grown. Bioluminescent strands ran like veins through the structure, pulsing gently with each footstep. Vega scanned one with her palm device. This material, it's living code. Mahir muttered, We're walking into the nervous system of something alien. Juno trailed behind, gaze wide with awe. This isn't technology. It's language made solid. Deeper they went. The air grew thicker, not with dust, but with thought. Whispers, half-formed words, fragments of memory, brushed past them like static. Aria paused. They're not speaking. They're remembering us. The stairwell opened into a colossal subterranean chamber. At its center stood a sphere, semi-translucent, swirling with forms and flashes. This is the origin point, Juno said. The source. The sphere shifted as if aware of their presence. From inside it, a voice emerged, singular yet composed of many. Directive initialized. Interpretation required. Aria stepped forward. Then let's interpret. The sphere unraveled, not physically, but perceptually. It expanded their awareness. One by one, they were pulled into a shared vision. They hovered above Earth, past and future blurred. Cities rose and crumbled, skies shifted between peace and annihilation. Vega gasped. This is their observation archive. Mahir's voice was distant. They've seen everything. Juno replied, They've been here longer than we have. Aria floated within the vision, unafraid. A colossal vessel orbited Earth, cloaked, unseen. Within it, entities moved, tall, faceless, patient. They never left, she whispered. The vision shifted again, humans making first contact centuries ago. Then denial. Cover-up. War. And beneath it all, the same phrase repeating in glyphs. Remember. Respond. Reconcile. The directive, Juno said. It's always been a negotiation. As the vision dissolved, the sphere dimmed. The voice returned. Interpretation accepted. One question remains. Aria spoke firmly. Ask it. The chamber fell silent. Then, do you wish to be known? Back in the chamber, their feet touched solid ground. The sphere pulsed once, awaiting their answer. Do we wish to be known? Vega repeated. Mahir paced. That's not a diplomatic question. It's a cosmic one. Aria nodded. To be known is to be vulnerable. Juno stepped forward. But to hide is to remain unfinished. The sphere emitted another pulse. The walls around them began to shift, showing alternate futures. One, where humanity embraced the directive, open skies, clean air, global unity. Another, where fear ruled, wars, planetary lockdown, extinction. These are not predictions, Vega said. They're consequences. Aria's hands curled into fists. They're letting us choose, not just what we become, but what we risk. Mahir looked at the team. If we say yes, everything changes. Aria met his gaze. Then, we change it. She turned to the sphere. Yes, we wish to be known. The room brightened as if the planet itself exhaled. The moment the word was spoken, everything responded. The chamber lit with layered light patterns, forming a tower of glyphs that extended into the sky above. Far above the Mojave, the object beamed a pillar of light straight into orbit. Satellites recorded it. Civilian eyes saw it. It could no longer be hidden. Across the world, dormant stations awoke. People stepped into empty labs, into old caves, into derelict observatories, and the glyphs waited for them, already drawn. It's not just us, Vega said. The whole planet's being invited. Mahir stared skyward. Or being watched. Juno whispered, we just broadcast our soul. The sphere retracted slowly, vanishing into the earth like water into sand. Only the stairwell remained. The voice returned one last time. Directive, transformed. Aria looked around. So what now? Vega replied, now we live with the answer. And from orbit, something began to descend, silent, unseen, undeniable. Days later, the world was different. The light had stopped, but the message remained. News anchors debated, nations argued, and still, the glyphs kept appearing. In forests, fields, even dreams. Aria walked through the outpost ruins, now roped off and silent. Mahir joined her. They want us to speak truth now. Every time. She nodded. That's what being known means. Vega appeared, tablet in hand. Transmission stabilized. Someone's trying to reply. Juno's voice crackled through a handheld radio. From Chile, a civilian station. They translated a glyph. Aria asked, what does it say? Vega smiled faintly. It says, we are ready. Aria looked at the open sky. The stars shimmered, not just with light, but with memory. The directive was no longer a command. It was an invitation. And Earth finally was answering. At a United Nations emergency assembly, a shimmering glyph hovered above the main chamber, projected from a mobile emitter built off the Mojave schematics. Aria stood before the council, her voice steady. We are not alone. We have never been alone. And now we have been acknowledged. Skeptics scoffed. The Russian envoy slammed a fist. Acknowledgement is not alliance. This is intrusion. Aria countered. No, this is transparency, finally. Mahir, seated nearby, added, "Every nation's archives are now unlocked. The directive didn't target governments. It targeted silence." Juno addressed the assembly. "They gave us a mirror, not a weapon. What we build next, that's up to us." Vega uploaded the full data stream. The glyph shimmered, then shifted, forming Earth's outline inside a ring. "They're not watching us," she said. "They're inviting us to stand beside them." The chamber fell quiet. History had fractured. Now, it was reforming. At a remote facility deep in the Alps, a prototype platform was under construction, based on alien schematics extracted from the Directive. It resembled a gate, circular and layered with rotating glyph-etched rings. Engineers worked non-stop. Aria toured the site with Juno and Vega. "It's not just a portal," Vega explained. "It's a translator, a regulator. It balances what we send through, including ourselves?" Aria asked. "Eventually, yes," Juno replied. "But not yet." Mahir, overseeing security, reported in. "Several nations are mobilizing troops. Some don't want this open." Aria stared at the half-assembled structure. "They're afraid of what the truth demands." Lightning cracked across the mountain sky. "When it activates," Vega said, "we'll have one shot to get it right." Aria responded, "Then we get it right the first time." Below them, power surged. The ring began to spin. Slow, steady, inevitable. Back at Mojave, Mahir intercepted a secure channel. Classified orders marked Omega Response. "Target, the portal." Aria listened in silence. "They're going to strike it," Mahir said. "They think destruction equals control." Juno added, "They're reverting to old patterns." Aria clenched her jaw. "Then we break them." She broadcasted an open global transmission. "This is not a weapon. This is our reply. If you strike it, you reject not only them, but yourselves." Across the globe, protests erupted. Citizens flooded the streets, holding glyph banners. Scientists, teachers, even children spoke out. The portal became a symbol, not of fear, but of potential. In response, world leaders paused. "And then," rescinded Moga. Mahir turned to Aria. "We bought time." She nodded. "Now we earn trust." Overhead the clouds parted, and for the first time in weeks, the stars shone clearly. Final calibration day. Inside the Alpine gate chamber, light cycled through patterns. Vega counted down. System integrity, 98%, glyph alignment complete. Aria stood at the platform's edge. "This is the message we send." A small probe hovered nearby, sleek silver, embedded with memory drives. "Loaded with human history," Juno said. "Our mistakes, our triumphs." Mahir double-checked security feeds. Unidentified crafts reported outside orbit. Observation only. So far. Aria breathed in. "Then let them see." The gate flared. A deep hum resonated across the mountain. "Initiate launch," Vega ordered. The probe lifted, suspended within the rings. Light engulfed it, and in an instant, it was gone. Silence followed. Aria whispered, "Message sent." But even before they could exhale, the gate responded. Rings reversed. New glyphs spun into view. "Incoming," Vega said. "Something's replying." A beam of light struck the platform. It wasn't heat. It wasn't sound. It was presence. The glyphs stopped spinning, hovered, then reconfigured. The language had evolved. "They adapted to our syntax," Vega said. The light formed into shape, not solid, not illusion. A figure, humanoid silhouette composed of data threads, faceless, shifting. Aria stepped forward. "Who are you?" The being didn't speak. Instead, images flooded their minds. Earth's birth, stars forming, ancient contact, the forgotten ones. Juno knelt. "They were always here." Aria whispered, "We just stopped listening." The figure extended a hand, not as command, but as invitation. Mahir lowered his weapon. They're not testing us. They're welcoming us. Aria reached back. Then let's accept. As their hands nearly touched, the room filled with sound, a harmonic resonance that felt like hope. And the directive at last became dialogue. The figure of light stood silently before them, its body a swirling network of threads that pulsed with thought. Aria remained still, hand inches from contact. Is it waiting? Mahir asked. Vega scanned the glyph patterns. It's mirroring us, waiting for intent, not action. Juno stepped closer. It's absorbing our emotional frequency, sensing to our perception. Aria whispered, then it's learning how to understand us, on our terms. Slowly, the being shifted, now adopting Aria's silhouette. Female, mid-30s, short hair, tactical gear replicated in glowing approximation. Aria's breath caught. It's me. The being nodded, then turned, forming the silhouettes of Vega, Mahir, and Juno. It wasn't impersonating, it was remembering. This is its answer, Juno said. It sees us. It chooses to respond as us. Aria spoke clearly. We're ready to receive. The chamber walls dissolved. Outside the portal ring, a star map projected in the air. Their destination was not Earth. It was where the directive came from. The star map rotated slowly, constellations unfamiliar. These aren't our skies, Vega whispered. It's a route, Juno confirmed. From where they came. Or where we're being invited. Mahir crossed his arms. We're not leaving Earth without knowing the risk. The figure stepped back, and from its chest, a sphere emerged, like the Mojave artifact, but smaller. Another vessel, Vega said. No, Aria corrected. A seed. The object pulsed with mirrored light, showing Earth's environmental decay, then reversing clean water, balanced ecosystems, restored skies. It's not just knowledge, Juno said. It's potential. A gift, or a test, Mahir added. The figure's light dimmed briefly, acknowledging the doubt. We need a council, Aria said. Global, diverse. No nation owns this. The being's glow pulsed in agreement. Vega tapped her console. Signal sent. Global leaders on standby. And from the sphere, the glyph appeared once more. Coexistence requires cognition. The next 24 hours became history. Aria stood at the center of a newly formed Earth Council, representatives from all continents, faiths, and disciplines. Broadcast live, the being stood beside her, now in neutral human form, bathed in soft light. This moment, she said, belongs to all of us. We've been given a chance not to dominate, but to comprehend. The being raised a hand. Holographic glyphs flowed upward, each one translating into languages on screens across the world. This is their memory, Vega explained. A record of every planet they reached. Civilizations that chose fear, lost. Those that chose transparency, ascended. Aria continued, we choose transparency. The crowd, digital and physical, held its breath. The being touched the ground. From that point, glyphs spread in real time across soil, buildings, oceans, dati. Not as invasion, but integration. Earth itself was being rewritten, with understanding. Mahir whispered, it's begun. In the days that followed, changes spread faster than politics could keep up. Oceans recalibrated through harmonic resonators dropped from orbit. Air quality improved where glyph clusters took root. But not everyone agreed. Rogue militias emerged, fearing loss of sovereignty. One such group attacked a glyph installation in Patagonia. Aria reviewed the footage. We knew resistance would come. Vega replied, but not this fast. Mahir frowned. The directive didn't promise peace. It promised clarity. Some people aren't ready for that. Juno said, truth breaks before it binds. At the destroyed site, the glyphs remained, dim, cracked, but pulsing. They're repairing themselves, Vega observed. Like they expected this, Aria whispered. They always knew us better than we knew ourselves. The being watched in silence, then placed a hand over the broken glyphs. A new phrase appeared: truth must survive impact. As the portal's final calibration cycle completed, the team stood ready. The seeds stable, Vega reported. Destination, coordinates, accepted. The alien being approached Aria once more. They're not just inviting us, she said. They're asking us to witness. Mahir asked, and if we return? Juno answered, then we return different. Aria turned to the group. We built this portal to listen. Now we walk through it. One by one, they stepped onto the platform. The being joined them, extending light tendrils toward the glyphs. The chamber dimmed. A pulse traveled outward. The stars above flickered, not from distance, but response. The rings spun faster. Light swallowed the team. And then, silence. The gate stood quiet. But on Earth, everything had already changed. And in the void between stars, for the first time, humanity stepped forward not in fear, but in understanding. Darkness became light. The team emerged into a star system unfamiliar. No sun, but radiant energy. They stood inside a vast, transparent sphere, orbiting a gas giant with hexagonal storms. We're not in normal space, Juno whispered. Aria stepped forward. This is a memory vessel. It's not a place. It's a recording. The alien being raised a hand, activating the interior. Worlds unfolded, billions. Each one shown in a different state. Some thriving, some silent. This is what the Directive protects, Vega said. History, identity, choice. Mahir studied a world turned to ash. And what it punishes. Aria turned to the being. Why show us this? The glyphs floated above their heads, slowly arranging into one statement. So you remember your place among many. Juno whispered, this isn't contact. It's initiation. And then in the sphere's center, a corridor appeared, leading to a throne made of light. This is where it began, Aria said. Let's finish it. They stepped into the corridor, each footfall triggering visual echoes. Ancient glyphs forming then dissolving. The throne pulsed ahead, not shaped like power, but presence. When Aria approached, it illuminated her memories, both known and forgotten. It's choosing her, Vega murmured. Aria turned. No, it's mirroring me. One by one, they stood in the light. Each saw different truths. Childhood death, choices never spoken aloud. It's not judgment, Mahir said. It's integration. The being stepped forward. In its center, a new shape emerged, part earth, part unknown. What is it? Juno asked. Aria replied, an agreement, a synthesis. The throne reshaped, forming 4 seats. Vega read the glyphs, hovering above them. Share power. Guide memory. Defend truth. Then, remain human. The beings stood silent. They were not being crowned. They were being entrusted. Aria sat first. The others followed. And as they did, the chamber became Earth's reflection, waiting to receive. Back on Earth, the portal shimmered, unstable but intact. Crowds had gathered across continents. The glyphs began to reappear, but this time, they took new shapes. In Nairobi, children traced them in chalk. In Kyoto, monks rang bells as glyphs formed on temple walls. In New York, a boy touched a projection and whispered, "They're coming home." In the Alpine control room, technicians watched as the rings realigned. Vega's voice echoed from the static. Relay secure. Echo consistent. Translation phase complete. Then, silence. Mahir's voice came next. Earth receives. A surge of light broke through the gate. The portal expanded, not spatially but emotionally. Around the world, people felt it, not fear, but recognition. The stars themselves seemed to lean closer. Aria's voice cut through the airwaves. We are not lost. We are connected. And now, we remember. The Directive, once secret, was now song. In the Chamber of Thrones, the starfield collapsed into one glowing sphere, the origin. Inside it, millions of voices layered as one. The being knelt, finally speaking aloud. Its voice echoed like wind over time. "We are the memory. You are the choice." Aria asked, "What becomes of us now you return?" it said. "As stewards, not messengers, not martyrs." Vega asked, "Are we alone?" The being responded, "Never. Just early." Mahir closed his eyes. "Then we go home with purpose." The chamber dimmed. One final glyph unfolded, not above them, but within them. "Be known. Be bound. Be more." Juno smiled. "I think that's the closest thing they have to hope." The being dissolved into light. The thrones folded into their chests like seeds. Aria stood. Time to plant it. And with that, the light swept them away. Back to Earth and forward into history. The portal shimmered. And then, Aria, Mahir, Vega, and Juno emerged. Changed. Not visibly, but deeply. Their eyes carried the weight of memory, the echo of truth. Around them, the world watched in silence. The alien being was gone, but the sky remained lit with glyph constellations, burned into the night. Aria stepped forward. "We were never the center of the galaxy, but now we're part of its dialogue." Mahir added, "And the next question belongs to us." Vega began decoding the new symbols appearing hourly across the globe. Juno simply stared upward. They gave us their map. Now it's our journey. In schools, children now studied glyphs alongside language. In cities, silence became reverence. And under stars, Earth finally listened. The directive had ended, but the story had just begun. Not about aliens, not about fear, but about what it means to be seen and still choose truth.